guys, welcome to another episode of Rock Bottom Airsoft. It's good to see you again. If it's your first time here, then as always, it is good to see you and I hope you're going to stick around. Okay, well, welcome to our weekend video. If you've been following the channel, I do this every time, but you probably know, we do a video midweek, usually on a Wednesday, and we always do a video at the weekend, usually on a Saturday. Normally we'd have gameplay videos midweek. At the moment I'm out of action, so we're doing 2 studio videos a week, and every weekend we always discuss something related to Airsoft. Our great sport that's Airsoft, I'll always find something that we'll discuss, do introductions, kit reviews, gear reviews, replica reviews, tech videos, that type of thing, okay? So if you have been enjoying my series of videos and you haven't already subscribed, then do please get subscribed to the channel, and then that way you won't miss any of the uploads. Even if we do any bonus uploads midweek, okay? Great stuff. Right, what we're going to look at today with that out of the way. Well, today I thought we'd do a short little video on a product that I've had some experience with, that I've used in the field, and that is the Battle Axe electrically powered drum magazine, which is this one here. Now, they do a number of these drum magazines. This particular one is AR based, so it's a Stanag style magazine. It's designed to go in a Stanag receiver, or more commonly known in the airsoft world as an AR or M4, M16 type receiver. So that's what I have here. That's the one I've got. So I can't comment on the performance of ones that are designed for G36 replicas or AK replicas. The one I have is AR or Stanag based magazine, and it's a drum magazine. It's electrically powered, a little button on the front here, and that's what winds it up. So the best way of thinking about it is it's a great big high cap magazine, which instead of having a wheel on it to wind or a handle to wind, you have this little button that you press and that electrically winds the magazine. Now, this particular magazine, I thought we'd do a talk about it because I've noticed on my Airsoft field, my home site, where I play at Tazball Airsoft, I've noticed more and more guys running drum magazines and getting drum magazines. So I thought I'd put this out here, and then you've got a bit of a review of what I would call an affordable or budget drum magazine. And well, that is one of the reasons I bought this. Now, unfortunately, that might not be such a clever idea where drum magazines are concerned, which I'll get into in a minute. I got kind of stung on this one, but we'll go through it in detail and see if it's something that'll work for you. So this one is manufactured by Battle Axe. Now, don't let this particular magazine give you a bad impression of Battle Axe magazines in general. This is a Battle Axe mid-cap. And this Battle Axe mid-cap is absolutely superb, and for the money you pay for those, they are, well, I hate to say it, but they're dirt cheap. They're very affordable. They go to the core of what I'm about, trying to do things affordably. I think you can get one of these mid-cap magazines for about £9 British, and I've never had a problem with them. They're really good. They're polymer, they're good spring in them, they're really good. They struggle to keep up with really high speed builds, but for an average replica, they're absolutely fine and very affordable. So yeah, these Battle Axe magazines, the mid-caps, excellent. But back to what we're looking at, which is this Battle Axe electrically powered drum magazine for AR replicas. If you fancy one of these after this review, you can pick them up very affordably. I've seen varying prices online. Now, what is worth remembering is they do this one, where you have the little button on the front here for winding your BBs up, same as a wheel on the bottom of a high cap, but electric. And they also do one which is sound control. What that basically means is the sound control one, instead of having the button to wind it up like you would with a high cap wheel, it automatically winds. So when it hears a sound, when the sensor detects the sound of your replica firing, it will automatically wind the magazine and feed BBs up the feed tube. So in theory, you never need to do any winding. It's like a really big mid-cap in that case, but obviously an electrically powered high cap. So they do a sound control one, and they do this one being a little bit more affordable. But what I have found when I research prices, you can pick one of these up. They're around about 30 to 50 British pounds. So that's 30 British pounds is around about the cheapest I've found one. You can get them. I did see one that was around about 27 British pounds, but they were out of stock. So, you know, there are really affordable deals to be had on this electrically powered drum mag, and I believe that the ones that I've seen at £30, some of those were the sound control ones, which are normally more expensive. I got this one a little while ago. I think I paid about 25 British pounds for it, but I got it off eBay. That seller didn't appear to have any anymore. If I can find them at that price, I will, as always, put a link in the description. And obviously I'll put a link in the description to where you can get one of these reasonably affordably. Now, if you're in the States, in the US, I have found that they do these Battle Axe magazines. They vary in price. I struggled to find ones for the AR variants, but they did do a CMAG variant for the G36. And you're looking around about the same price in US dollars as you would in pounds, so about $30. So yeah, looking at the magazine, I'd say it looks pretty cool. I mean, it looks realistic. I have seen real steel AR drum magazines that look similar to this on some of the YouTube channels that I watch where they use drums. So it does look relatively realistic to a real steel AR drum magazine, so that's cool. That was one of the reasons I bought it. I mainly got it because I liked the look of it. I thought it was a good looking magazine and stuck with the realism. So there is that to go off. Construction wise, it's completely polymer. Everything about it is polymer. Some of the research I've done on these, I believe a lot of the internal mechanism is also polymer, which leads me on to one of the issues that other people have had with these, and that is that eventually the mechanism does break on them, especially if they're running it hard, if they overwind it. Some of the teeth on the internal cogs can break off, and eventually it gets rendered useless unless you can manage to fix it. I think there are some guides online of some guys that have upgraded these, so that they do work a little bit better. But that is one of the drawbacks, is that it is a completely polymer build. Whether they've changed that, I didn't see any evidence of that online, but yeah, they can have a tendency to break. Never had that problem with this one, so I suppose it depends on your use case for it, or how rough you are with it, or generally what you do with it. So the entire build of this Battle Axe drum magazine is polymer. Now, in order to power this motorised wind, which winds your BBs up, it does take 3 AAA batteries. That's what comes with it as standard. Now that leads me on to the next part of it. In order to replace the batteries, you have to remove this cover here, which has a screw in it. So it is screwed in, which on the field, that could get rather fiddly, and you could quite easily lose the screw. Let me show you the compartment for where the battery is. Get a little screwdriver, back out the screw. Bear with me while I do that. I don't normally do this with my gloves on, I suppose. So once that screw's backed out, you should be able to slide this assembly off, which is easier said than done. As I say, fiddly. You've got to get this screw all the way out, it appears, in order to slide the assembly off. There we go. So that's that off, and then inside you have this little battery compartment which you can drop out. Now that brings me on to another thing. As you can see, there is the connector. The wiring is quite flimsy. You could quite easily break that off on this battery connector, on this battery compartment, but you can fit 3 AAA batteries in there, and that will power the electrically wound drum magazine. Now, one of the modifications I have seen that people do that is supposed to improve this magazine no end is to replace this battery compartment with a small LiPo battery that'll fit in there. I'll get on to why that's an improvement shortly. But that is one of the modifications I've seen people do, and it is indeed a modification that I am thinking of doing. But you put your 3 AAA batteries into this compartment. It's not really that difficult to fit it back in the compartment. You pop it back in, put your door back over, which again, fiddly. and then you have to screw it back up. So just bear with me while I do that. Okay, so that is the compartment back on. Now in theory, for your game day, you could put those batteries in before you left. Put them in, leave them in. They pretty much last the whole day. Well, that's what I found when I used it in the field. I have used this magazine in the field. It has been out in the field with me, but it has only been out in the field with me twice. I never felt the need to use it more than that, which does speak volumes. I don't like to do a negative review, as it were, because it did do what it's supposed to do, but it wasn't very effective. Like I say, the compartment's a bit fiddly, but once it's on, if you do that at home before you leave, you're not going to need to take that off. You don't want to lose the screw, obviously. So basically, in order to load the magazine, it's the same as a high cap magazine. You have this little loading window at the top here. Pour your BBs in. It holds about 1,400 BBs, and then you close the window just like you would with a high cap, and that's you good to go. And that's it loaded with 1,400 BBs. It's going to last you quite a while. If you don't like reloads, it's for you. And then you press the button on the front here and hold the button down until your BBs appear in the feeding tube, just like you would with a high cap if you were winding it up. And then once it's in your replica, obviously you fire as you would with a high cap, and every so often you just press the button on the front of the magazine there, and that will wind BBs just like it would if you were turning a wheel. The only difference being is you've got 1,400 rounds to go at, and you don't have a wheel to wind, you've just got a button to press. With the sound one, you don't even have to do that. When you pull the trigger, the operation of the gearbox, the sounds it makes, will wind the magazine automatically. So there you go, that's the basic operation of the replica. Now, there are a couple of issues with that. What I've found is with this is when I was using it in the field with the standard AAA batteries, which gets me onto this small LiPo conversion that we mentioned, with the standard AAA battery pack in there, this really struggled to keep up with even a standard replica. I use this on one of my standard ARs. It's had no work to do it. It was only running a 7.4 volt LiPo battery, so the rate of fire was not what I would call a modified rate of fire or an insane rate of fire. It was just a standard rate of fire, relatively slow. And even holding my finger on the button, it could not keep up. So it wasn't feeding BBs as rapidly as the replica was firing. So what I was finding I had to do is I was firing on semi, it was absolutely fine, it could keep up. But as soon as I went on to full auto and held the button down, it could not keep up. So what I found is you could do full auto bursts, and then you'd have to stop, press the button, wind up the tension, and then go with another full auto burst, which to me defeats the object of a drum magazine. I want to be able to hold that button down, or in the case of a sound control one, just hold my trigger down and rain a load of BBs and create some support fire and covering fire for my teammates, which I was unable to do with this magazine as standard. So it fails on that part. It's not very good from that point of view. And feeding issues are not where it stops. There were feeding issues, as I say, because of the speed that the motor winds the magazine up. Another issue you can have is fitment. I've got a lot of ARs, as anybody who knows me will know, but I've just got a couple as an example here. This is a Spetner Arms, Rock River Arms alloy receiver. It will not fit in the mag catch in that one. This is the ASG that I did as a high-speed build. This is in bits at the moment. I've got the upper off because I'm going to do a video shortly on how to take this down and remove the gearbox and then do some work in the gearbox because it's stripped a piston. But again, we can still do it as an example. It fits. So there you go. So on the Spetner, it didn't fit, but on the ASG, it will lock in to the mag release. However, what I need to mention is that on that ASG, it will not feed reliably. Even if it's wound completely up, you'll get the odd misfire and it doesn't feed reliably. So it locks in, but it doesn't feed reliably. On the Spetner, it won't lock in at all. Trying it on a Cymer, it won't lock in at all. On a G&G, it won't lock in at all, so you can't get it in. Now, I know there is a modification you can do to file down the catch, But I don't think I should have to do that on a standard item. I would just usually go with a different product. But you know, there are ways around it. You can modify it if you want to make it fit. So that's not the end of the world. The one replica, this is my Vulcan alloy series, the trusty alloy series I use for a lot of testing. Now this one, it locks in no problem and it feeds fine. Apart from, like I mentioned earlier, you do have the issue of it not being able to keep up, and this was the particular replica that it wasn't able to keep up with. But I mean, look at that. It does look cool when it's in. There's no denying it looks very cool when it's locked into the replica, which is one of the reasons I kind of like it, because it looks cool. So it will lock in on the Vulcan alloy series, and I'm sure that there's some of you out there that will have replicas that this will lock into. But again, be careful of misfeeds. Misfeeds can be a problem. So I think the way around it, from this particular replica, this particular magazine, should I say rather, is to try a small LiPo battery instead of the battery pack. That's going to obviously provide a lot more power and mean that it's going to wind faster. So that might solve the problems of it not being able to keep up with your replica's rate of fire. That's something I'm going to test in the future when I get a battery for it and see if it does improve it. If it does improve it, I'll let you know. But ultimately, what I've found is the better style of drum magazine, if you're going to get one, is this kind of thing. This is off my ARP9, but the G&G, it's a G&G drum magazine. It's manual wind. G&G also do one of these in a 5.56 style or an AR style, so it'll fit in your AR receivers. They're a lot more expensive to buy than this Battle Axe one, and you have a winding wheel on the front. So it doesn't look as realistic. You've got to wind this wheel to wind them up. But what I've found with this is one good wind, get some tension, get your BBs appearing in the feed tube, and you barely ever have to wind it in the field. This thing never misfeeds. It's absolutely superb. It holds more rounds. I think it's over 2,000 BBs it holds in this. But again, you know, you pay for it. Got a lot of quality in it. I really like it. The G&G drum mag manual wind is really good, and I've had success with other manual wind drum mags as well. But if you really want one that looks realistic like this and in this style, then do let me know how you get on with it in the comments. I'll always respond to a comment, as many of you will already know. So if you do get one of these, let me know how you go with it, or if you've had one and you've had good or bad experiences with it, then let me know in the comments. It helps me out for my research, and it also helps out any other viewers that are thinking of getting one of these. But me personally, although I like Battle Axe products on the whole, like I said, the mid-caps have been really good for the money that you pay for them. This particular drum magazine is a bit of a fail. I personally don't think it's worth it. You've got the issues, as I say, we'll run through them. You've got the issues of it not fitting in every replica you may have without modifying it. It can't keep up with the rate of fire on a standard replica, is what I discovered. If you go in full auto and you keep your finger on the button, that's with a standard battery pack. So again, get a small LiPo for it, that might solve the problem. Online, I've seen very mixed reviews of the reliability of it. A lot of people have had issues with these breaking after a relatively short period of time. It's all polymer construction, and again, you know, it looks good. That's what I would say it's got going for it. It looks good, it looks cool on the field. You certainly don't need to reload, and if you're running semi only, then you don't need to reload. But, you know, that also gives you, if you're running semi only and you're trying to be relatively stealthy, this thing is a tactical maraca. So it does rattle and shake like crazy when you've got 1,400 BBs in it. So there you go. So that is the Battle Axe electrically powered drum magazine. I keep it because I like the look of it. It looks cool. Looks cool when it's in your replica, good for photos, that type of thing. But in the field, when I've used it, as I say, ever since I had it, which I got this a few years back, I've only used this twice in game because it is unable to feed in the vast majority of circumstances. So again, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you found it useful. If you did enjoy it, then please drop a like on there. As always, if you're enjoying my series of videos, then do please subscribe to the channel, and then you won't miss any of my uploads. If you've got any questions for me, any comments, anything at all, anything about this magazine even, or let me know your experiences, I'll always respond to a comment. I might not get back to you straight away, but I will always get back to you. And if you want any more content from myself, you can find Rock Bottom Airsoft on Facebook and Instagram. There's pictures on there, photos, discussions, that kind of thing, game day pictures. So check us out on there. Apart from that, thanks very much for watching, and I'll look forward to seeing you in the next one.